Republicans right now are trying to tell us that corporations, the economy itself, simply cannot afford to raise the minimum wage to $15 an hour. Doing so, they said, would force businesses across the country to close. And besides, as they also tell us, who needs a burger flipper at McDonald's making $15 an hour? Well, the answer to that is quite simple. According to McDonald's, the people at McDonald's actually need $15 per hour. A new report says that many fast food chains have been telling their investors in recent years, not just recent months, since the fight for 15 actually came to DC, but for the past few years, they've been telling them, don't worry about having to raise the minimum wage because, believe it or not, investors, we actually do better when the minimum wage increases. Denny's, by the way, is one of these corporations that has been telling their investors for several years that, hey, look at the areas where we have restaurants where the minimum wage has increased to $15 an hour. You know what's happened there, Denny's tells their investors? We've seen sales go up. We have seen profits increase, not decrease. We're not losing business because we've increased the minimum wage. We're getting more business because of it. McDonald's has been telling their investors the same thing. They're telling them, if the minimum wage increases to $15 an hour, it doesn't hurt our bottom line at all. And in fact, much like Denny's, we expect to see increased sales from increasing the minimum wage. And this is true of many other fast food restaurants as well. What they're telling investors, of course, behind closed doors. It's important to remember that knowingly lying to your investors is a crime. And that's a crime, by the way, one of the few white-collar crimes that actually does get prosecuted. And people do go to jail for that if they knowingly lie to their investors. So I have to take these executives at their word. And not only because of the threat of jail that they face if they lie, but also because the evidence has been there and we've literally been talking about it for years. We know this. I mean, how many times, both here and over at Ring of Fire, have I sat here and mentioned the fact that in areas where the minimum wage has been increased to $15 or more, they see increased economic activity. And it's no secret as to why. The individuals who make minimum wage are the same people who end up spending roughly 100% of their paychecks every time they get paid. And again, it's not because they're bad with money, but it's because they have to. And this example here of Denny's telling their investors we actually do better when we raise the minimum wage, that is exactly one of the specific pieces of evidence I have been pointing to every time I talk about this. Because believe it or not, even going out to eat at a place like Denny's for a family of 5, that can be expensive. That's a luxury that a minimum wage worker wouldn't be able to afford, folks. But suddenly, if you have a little bit of extra cash on you, not a ton, but a little bit, then suddenly maybe when your kids are saying, Daddy, can we please go to Denny's for breakfast today? You say, you know what? Actually, yes, we can. We can do that. And folks, it's little things like that, that a lot of people in this country who've never been in that kind of financial situation, that they don't even understand about this. You know, these are people who don't have to worry when their car's oil change light comes on. They just run it into Jiffy Lube and say, hey, change it out. Call me when you're done. Not like the rest of us who have to keep driving for thousands of miles before we can afford, that expensive oil change, because God knows that price has gone through the roof for some reason. But that's just another reason why increasing the minimum wage is so important. And now we have it straight from the horse's mouths that increasing the wage not only doesn't hurt them, it actually makes them more profitable. And when these, chain restaurants become more profitable, do you know what they do? They expand. They build new restaurants. They increase economic activity. A rising tide lifts all boats, and that is exactly what increasing the minimum wage in the United States would do.